Oi oi, alright, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you. This is Doodle Review, a channel that's about all types of music, but if I get even a whiff of a guitar, I'm following it like a cartoon character drawn to a freshly baked pie. We pretty much review something in the rock category every other day, so that's your vibe, mate. Subscribe. You'll definitely hear me talk about a band that you love in an upcoming video, or maybe you'll find something that you don't yet know that you'll love. The Smile, the project from Tom York and Jonny Greenwood of Radiohead, plus Tom Skinner, drummer from the fantastic jazz and Afrobeat band Sons of Kemet, has returned with their second album. Called Wall of Eyes, this new record from the project has arrived less than 2 years after their debut in 2022, following extensive touring and a few live releases, proving that this format of musicians, which was actually assembled in a bit of a rush over the pandemic, have felt real chemistry and obviously feel there are some legs on the project. For those that don't drink the Radiohead Kool-Aid, on first listen you might kind of think, you know what, this is like loud, bombastic, just crazy riffs, really catchy melodies. I could see some of this charting really well. No, I'm joking. It's like a Tom York spooky, warbly, somewhat beautiful album. I really haven't made my mind up on it yet. Yeah, you might think like that. Now, actually, I am a pretty big Radiohead fan, but even still, that was my immediate gut reaction after just one listen. I've actually come to be quite taken with this album since, but it did make me realise as the album slowly began to reveal itself to me, I realised that there is kind of an inherent challenge for an artist like Tom York, who is so distinct. That challenge being that even though such an artist always tends to have an innate need to push themselves into new styles and do something different, when their sound is so unique, it creates a situation where the listener on one hand can kind of fully predict what the record will sound like on the whole, even when they have absolutely no idea. And I suppose the same could be said of any sort of idiosyncratic artist, but I think some more so than others, and a Tom York project, however involved he is, definitely fits more in that more so category. I find band dynamics and their impact on the music they produce completely fascinating, and after listening to the first Smile album, A Light for Attracting Attention, one of the main things I kind of kept thinking was, what is it about these songs that they could only have been made by this group and not, say, Radiohead? The answer to me wasn't immediately apparent. It certainly had its own flavour, but to me it still felt like it was on the same kind of trajectory that a moon-shaped pool had put Radiohead onto. And as a Sons of Kemet fan, I was quite excited by the prospect of Tom Skinner working with York and Greenwood, but found on the whole that it was kind of fairly underutilised on the record. And again, when you consider that since King of Limbs, Radiohead's Philip Selway has been kind of working within that scuttly, shuffly wheelhouse of rhythm, I was again left wondering, like, what's new here? Why a new band? In hindsight, the closer resemblance to Radiohead makes sense. According to Greenwood at the time, The Smile was actually born more out of a desire to quickly release new music he'd been working up, and the rest of Radiohead just not really being available. It came from that rather than being driven purely by a need to start something new, although I'm sure that was attractive. Over time, I've gradually found more and more that interest me about A Light for Attracting Attention, but to me, Wall of Eyes definitely feels like this band really coming into its own and carving out more of what makes the Smile the Smile. While Skinner isn't necessarily in a full jazz Afrofusion frenzy in terms of his beats, it is his overall approach to rhythm, utilising unconventional time signatures plus an incredible feel that I think creates the foundation and puts the songs here onto a path that sets them apart from the looming presence of York and Greenwood's older sister band. A perfect example of that feel I'm talking about is on the mainly piano-driven track Friend of a Friend, where Skinner perfectly accompanies its wandering chord progression, slowing things down and speeding things up in such a way that remarkably prevents the track from feeling even the slightest bit disjointed. On the title track that opens the record and its follow-up Teleharmonic, Skinner imbues the songs with something that gestures slightly towards a Latin kind of rhythm, and in turn on the latter track we get these incredible flutes, something that feels completely fresh and new for all of the artists involved and adds a unique vibe, or a vibe that's unique even for the rest of the album. My favourite on the record is I Quit. This is a track that perfectly blends Skinner's impressive rhythmic feel with Greenwood's innovation. The song is built around a tremolo or a gated guitar, basically an effect where the sound cuts in and out. But rather than use a pedal, it sounds like Greenwood is manually using the guitar's kill switch. And this makes for a very binary on-off effect that is both rhythmic but also imperfect, and it sounds amazing. Honestly, I could kind of listen to the instrumental of this on loop. I just find it that captivating. In true Jonny Greenwood style, the man is innovating all over the place on Wall of Eyes, both in what he is playing and how he is playing it. Placed right in the middle of the record, we have Read the Room and Under Our Pillows. Two tracks led predominantly by these angular, discordant Greenwood riffs, and this is a style he seems to have been playing with since Identikit on Radiohead's last release, and then the opposite and Thin thing off of the first Smile album. To be honest, while I appreciate the artistic exploration, this flavour of Greenwood guitar is very hit or miss for me. Read the Room I think sounds really cool. The technique is blended with the kind of string bends typically reserved for the most like bombastic rock solos, and instead applied here in a way that kind of just sounds like the guitar is breathing with the song. Under Our Pillows applies the style more aggressively though, and following the spidery riff feels almost like climbing the song while every hand and foothold kind of slips away from you. Honestly, I can't decide if it's fun or frustrating, which almost definitely seems like the point, I'm sure, but while adding a certain energy at the midpoint of this album, it's probably my least favourite track here. At certain points, I also think you could argue the band make too much of a point to kind of spotlight dance around all of the weird, cool things they can do at the expense of the song. Under Our Pillows could be a victim of that with that kind of riff, but I think you could also make the same case for Wall of Eyes, where it gets a little crowded toward the end with all of these strings and then these music box like tinkly guitars that come in. The jewel in this album's crown though is the song with the most utterly Thom Yorke title of all time, Bending Hectic. This is completely by the by, but I can't not let it be said that this song title just frustrates me so much. Those two words just do not make sense together, and it makes me laugh at my own kind of like, I guess, uptight sensibility that would be such a bother to me. But the fact that it is so much a Thom Yorke song title, it's almost a parody. Anyway, song title, semantics aside, Bending Hectic is an absolute masterpiece of a track with possibly one of the most exhilarating ends to a Yorke Greenwood composition in years, primarily because it's felt like we might never have gotten a wall of rock guitars from them again, but also because the song just builds so masterfully. The song paints a picture of a car kind of careening off the road of a winding mountainside road, with these bending guitars and cinematic strings framing this imagery in almost serene slow motion until there is eventually a collision and those aforementioned guitars come slamming in. Thom Yorke's lyrics and vocals on this are fantastic, and it's songs like this that remind me why I will always give a project with his involvement a try. It just so happens that this album by and large is also fantastic all the way through. I have my small critiques, the occasional touches of overproduction and that particularly spidery form of guitar riff that can be fun but occasionally frustrates, but I have to say this on the whole is brilliant. Wall of Eyes to me massively exceeds its predecessor. It really gives the Smile its distinction and place as a project all of its own, and some of the musical alchemy here is just almost blissful. I'd hit this with a solid 8. But alright, that is enough raff from me. What do you think? Are you a Smile fan, Radiohead fan? How does this stack up for you? Where does it land in their discography? Let me know, subscribe, share some thoughts, show some love, or just hurl some abuse in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, mate. Bye.